if you're starting your day from a place of like anxiety, stress, burnout, exhaustion, think about every time something hits you throughout that day, and you're going to get hit no matter what. Like, no matter how great your life is, you're going to get hit with things every single day. But if you're starting from this low place of like not feeling your best, your ability to react in a good way is going to be really hard. But if you're starting your place from a much more fulfilled, calm, peaceful, energized mentality, you're much more well equipped to either be able to problem solve on the spot or let things brush off and not let them negatively affect you. Or you sort of have this barrier almost of like protecting your energy.
Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. As a marriage coach who's married with 3 kids, I know how much parenthood could change a marriage. If flirting, laughing, and having fun together feels like a thing of the past, then I'm here to teach you that marriage doesn't have to feel so hard with your parents, and your marriage can thrive even when you're in the season of raising kids. Whether you're in a good place in your marriage and you just want to continue growing together, or you're wondering if you even like your spouse anymore, this podcast has something for you. Join me here each week as we dive into what it takes to help your marriage grow, and maybe even do a 180. You'll learn ways to handle conflict better, bring that spark back into your relationship, as well as learn how to improve other areas of your life from my lovely guest experts. Are you ready for the next stage of your life and marriage? Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood podcast. This episode, we have a guest here that's been here, I think now 3 times. Is that right, Marisa?
Yes, so excited.
Yeah. So she's one of my biz besties. She's amazing. Listen to her other episodes. And I have been doing a series lately on things I wish I knew that affected marriage after kids. And the last episode I made was about self-care. So we're going to run off of that because what Marisa has been doing lately has changed her experience of motherhood, of her marriage, of business, just of life in general. And I have very little experience with this, and this is meditation. Okay, I have some because I did do yoga teacher training at one point, but I feel like this is a very underutilized tool that we all have access to, that I feel like we could all benefit from learning about. So I wanted to bring Marisa on here. So thank you so much for joining us, Marisa.
Thank you for asking me to come back again and again. I always love chatting with you.
Yeah. Okay, so for those who are new to you, can you introduce yourself and tell the listeners about you?
Yes, so my name is Marisa Lonic. I am the founder of Mama Work It and Marisa Lonic Coaching and Consulting. And we in Mama Work It help women with the juggle of mom life, work life, wife life, fill in the blank life. And in Marisa Lonic Coaching and Consulting, I'm a certified intuitive life and business coach, and I support businesses and individuals with developing themselves personally and professionally. I am a mom of 4 kids. They are 10, 10, 7, and 4. We had some birthdays recently, so I had to make sure I got those numbers right. And what else? I have not always been someone who meditates. So I love that you chose me for this conversation because I think I can speak especially to the skeptics out there listening because I used to be one. So let's dive into this.
Yes, let's, because I know a lot of people out there like meditating, that's not for me. That's for hippies. That's for yogis. That's for other people, not me. I'm busy. I'm practical. Like, give me other things that I can use. And I don't have time, right? I don't have time to sit around and like om or like bliss out whatever. Like, that's for people who have nannies and whatever. But let's debunk that, right? Because Marisa has 4 kids. Okay.
Yeah.
So if anyone knows, she does. So tell us how you got into meditation and why it's become so important to your own personal routine now.
Yes, I would love to share that with you. So let me tell you a quick funny story about my premeditative self. Okay. So I send a weekly newsletter in my business. Every week you hear from me, every Wednesday, I'm in your inbox. And years ago, I sent this newsletter, and the title of the newsletter was Say It With Me, right? When you meditate,
Mhm.
And then you opened up the newsletter, and the first thing I wrote was, just kidding. I don't meditate. Who has time for that shit? Not even kidding. What a cringe moment. Okay. And this is proof that like we are all on this growth journey. Even people who now maybe are experts at something probably sucked at it or didn't believe in it prior. So, like, hello, here we go. So, I was not always someone who subscribed to meditation. I am a native New Yorker. I'm like a no BS, very direct, logical, analytical kind of person, very practical. I thought it was all woo. I was like, yeah, that's not for me. I got stuff to do. I can't be sitting around, like you said. And so I never really gave this a chance, and I really wasn't interested in it. And fast forward a few years, I started becoming more interested in subconscious practices in my business. Now, I am a lifelong learner. I read a lot of books, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I was noticing that a lot of very successful people out there, this was part of their regular routine. And then I was working with business coaches who this was part of their routine, and they were introducing that to our coaching sessions and practices. And so I was intrigued, and I started, introducing this into my life. And I started seeing like such immense benefits from doing these practices. Not only was it helping me gain more clarity or become calmer or less stressed or whatever, it was also kind of like opening up these ideas and opportunities. And I'm by nature very much an idea person. And so opening up even more portals in this way was like, whoa, that's pretty awesome. And so I started doing this personally. Then I got certified in intuitive coaching. And intuitive coaching brings a lot of that type of work and those modalities into the practice. So then I started utilizing it in my own practice and seeing, even with my own skeptical clients, as I had once been, how much this was really opening up doors for them and the power of this. And so now I'm somebody who does this. I meditate regularly. I utilize this in my coaching business, in my own, business itself, and it's helped me tremendously.
Yeah. So, in what tangible ways have you noticed meditating has helped your experience of life, of motherhood, of your marriage? Like, what do you notice that either you're not doing anymore or that you are doing, or how you're being?
Okay. I'll tell you two things that popped out to me when you asked me that question, and I'll kind of get into depth with each one. One is clarity and one is manifesting. Okay. So I don't know about you, but I have been guilty in many seasons of my life of ruminating on things that I was unsure about, like really over analyzing, overthinking, stressing out, worrying about. And meditation has given me such a tool to be able to gain clarity so much more quickly and just be at peace sometimes with that unknown, that's been life changing. I mean, the ability to not waste a ton of precious time and energy on worry or on overthinking. Think about all the nights that you've spent laying in bed overthinking something or being worried about something when you're exhausted AF and you just want to go to sleep. Or like all that energy that you've wasted thinking about, this issue or this problem, or like, what do I do? A, B, or C, which option's best? I don't know. When you could have just had the answer in 15 minutes, And so that has been a game changer for me. Another thing on the manifesting side is like sometimes we have these thoughts of success and things that we want to be able to do and achieve. And we feel like we're working so hard day in and day out, and we're not actually seeing those results. And the ability to meditate and manifest in, I don't want to say the right way because, God, I don't know, like what is really the right way, but just doing this more in a consistent fashion and in a way that is tapping into that subconscious aspect of who you are and not just the tangible action steps of taking the action, which both are very, very important. I mean, you can't just like manifest, $1 million and then like not lift a finger and do shit to get it. But the combination of the two is powerful. Powerful. Like even opening up these blocks that you don't realize you have, I've got plenty. I got plenty, Michelle. And I have seen like doing manifesting meditations in the past, and then, you know, opening up my email half an hour later and a client signing on and handing me thousands of dollars, you know, ready to work with me that I didn't think was going to work with me. So like, this is powerful shit.
That's amazing. Now, for those who are listening, they may not be business owners, so like this whole like idea of manifesting for success may not be relatable. So when it comes to how you're being around your family, have you noticed any difference in how you interact with them?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not perfect, so I won't say I'm like
Well,
zen and
yeah.
happy all the time, but like, I think it's certainly helped my
Yeah.
ability to like cope with things, or just, you know, not be so stressed or on edge about things, because I have these coping mechanisms. And honestly, you can view it as one. If you're starting your day from a place of like anxiety, stress, burnout, exhaustion, think about every time something hits you throughout that day, and you're going to get hit no matter what. Like, no matter how
Mm-hmm.
great your life is, you're going to get hit with things every single day. But if you're starting from this place, this low place of like not feeling your best, your ability to react in a good way is going to be really hard. But if you're starting your place from a much more fulfilled, calm, peaceful, energized, you know, mentality, you're much more well equipped to either be able to problem solve on the spot, or let things brush off and not let them negatively affect you. Or you sort of have this barrier almost of like protecting your energy.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it does equip us with a higher tolerance
Yes, that's a
for
great way to
the
put it.
daily stressors, right? Because I was just telling this to someone. We cannot control what happens in our day. Like, if
Mhm.
the kids are going to listen and cooperate, like this morning, a glass of orange juice that we saved, I put it on a shelf and I open the fridge. It flies out, spilling oranges everywhere. And I'm solo parenting this week. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to finish cooking my breakfast. I got to get my daughter dressed in the car, drive her to school. And I'm like, this is the last fucking thing I need to happen
And
is to
that is
clean
so
up.
sticky and gross.
Yeah, right? I can't just like wipe it up. I've got to like use a wet washcloth, wipe it up, dry it. I'm like, and of course it gets in the gaskets of the fridge because like I have a 4-door fridge. And I'm like,
Oh,
are
damn.
you fucking kidding me right now? But you know what? If I had dealt with that prior to working on myself, really doing like things, so I don't actually like full on meditate, and I want to ask you about this later, but I do moments of breathing and presence and whatever. So I grow my tolerance through that. And I'm like, okay, I am frustrated right now. And had this happened a few years ago, I would have completely lost my shit and just started yelling something or someone, even though it's not their fault and no one could have foreseen this happening. But I'm like, yeah, there is so much power to helping yourself in this way. So
Yes.
you can't control what happens in your day, but you can control how you suit up for it, right? How you set yourself up for success. So, how did you start doing meditation? And can you define to our listeners how you even meditate in the first place? Because I know this term meditation could be intimidating for a lot of people. Like, what do you mean? Like, just sit still. For those who are just like, go, 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 that could be like, why would I do that? That feels uncomfortable. I don't want to sit with my thoughts. I have too many already.
Right.
So, how did you start and how do you quote unquote do it? I know there's different ways, right? But like, what are
Sure.
some ways to ease into this that could feel more manageable for someone who's new to this?
Absolutely. Yeah. I started with guided meditations, like either live guided meditations where I was in a group with other people and listening to someone lead us, or listening to guided meditations, you know, on YouTube or from trusted sources that I had access to. And I actually still prefer a guided meditation to this day. and I offer them to my own clients because I feel like if you are someone who does have trouble focusing, and spoiler alert, everybody has trouble focusing when they
Yeah.
meditate. Like I've not met one person to date, even people who are like expert meditators, have been doing this for years, that have days or even all the time where they have to really like intentionally focus back on what they're doing. Like it's doesn't necessarily come easy to anyone. So if you are feeling discouraged about that, like I have so many thoughts running through my head, or like I really can't sit still, or it is uncomfortable for me to be like alone with my thoughts in that way. Like you're not alone. Everybody feels that pretty much. I will say, I'll attest to that. So guided meditations, I think, are a great thing. Start small. Don't expect to be like sitting there for 20, 30 minutes doing a guided meditation if you've never done this before, or if you're having even an off day and you have done this before. Like listen to what you need in that moment. Maybe you can only commit a minute to get started, but if you do a minute every day for a month, you're being consistent. You're making this part of your regular routine, and it becomes a habit. And you don't have to meditate in a way that's like you imagine this to be. Like you don't have to sit cross-legged on the floor
With your fingers touching.
Yeah, you have your fingers out. Like it doesn't have to look like, you don't have to be wearing yoga clothes like to do this. Like literally you could do this anywhere. I mean, I definitely would not say like don't do this behind the wheel or like while you're doing other things. Like you want to be safe, right? But you could be working, or you could be at home, and you could say, you know what, I just need 5 minutes, and you could literally lie on the floor, put on a guided meditation, put your earbuds in, or just put it on your phone, or your whatever you're listening to, and close your eyes and do it. So there's no like rule to follow when it comes to that. It's just really what's working for you and what do you need in that moment. And like you said, like it could be that you need to go from, you need to get out of this really like extremely stressful state that you find is becoming your norm. And that's getting you to a more, hopeful, happy place as your homeostasis. Or it could be like you want to open up some of these new portals and release some of these blocks. And so maybe you're feeling good, but now you want to get even better.
Yeah. And I will say, if you are going to try this out, if you're new to this, be really open-minded about it, because like, I don't know if it's true for you, but for me, it has to be the right voice, the right cadence when I listen to guided meditations. If they have like weird nature sounds, I can't get into it, because then that just like distracts me. Like I honestly think I have some form of ADHD, but that's another topic for another day.
That's another episode.
Yeah, but it has to be like someone who's really calming, and their pace has to be good. They can't talk too much, otherwise I'm like, whoa, you're messing with my mojo here, right?
Yeah.
And so it may take some time to find the right creator of the meditation for you to fully get into it. And I'm sure Marisa has so many great sources. So if you know your vibe and you want to like ask for recommendations, feel free to reach out to her. I'm sure she would love to help you find the right meditation, or even make one for you. But meditations, especially guided ones, are so, so powerful. Like I personally also love them. It's like facilitating an experience for you. It's like listening to an audiobook, but for the purpose of just being present. Present with your body, present with your thoughts, not thinking about what you have to do next, not having to worry about stuff, but just being with yourself, right? I really think that more moms need to take that time for themselves. Okay. Like Marissa said, it could be a morning thing, it could be a lunch break thing, it could be like maybe if you go to work and you have to drive home, maybe you stay in your car in the driveway for a little while before going in and you do it. Or maybe you do it before driving home. Like there are so many different ways to incorporate it into your day that won't require you to set an appointment, to like spend a whole hour doing it. You cannot imagine the benefits that it can have with you just even taking 2 minutes to yourself to do this.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I will say, like, I don't know if you have experienced this, but I know I have, and I know, like, maybe many of your listeners have, is you get really excited about a new habit sometimes, and like you're gung ho in the beginning, and then it kind of falls off track a little
Oh, yeah.
bit.
Guilty.
And so, yeah, myself included. I mean, I have developed things like to help me with the habits and the accountability and stuff. So I've got good resources in place for that now. But every year, for example, I set goals. January 1st, I've got a list of goals. Usually they are related to business, to health, to family, and then each person in my family sets goals too. So last year, my goal was to meditate daily, and I came pretty damn close to achieving that. And I'm happy and proud of it because it's really hard when you set a goal every single day to say that you did it. And I was really close to that. Like, I mean, there was probably like, of course, some periods where it fell off and we got a little discombobulated, but for the most part. And so I saw really great results from that level of consistency. One other thing I'll say that because of that consistency and because that I prioritize it, and sometimes it's not a regular day, right? Sometimes like your kids are homesick or your kids wake up earlier than you thought. I do mine in the morning. So, my kids have walked in on me because I'm like, you're not supposed to be awake for half an hour. What's happening? And they've noticed this, and they've, like they understand this is something mommy does. And so it's become actually a tool that they utilize now, which I love. So like when my kids are feeling anxious, like the night before something, they will ask me, or they can't fall asleep, they'll ask me to put on a meditation for them. And it's like a tool that they utilize too. And I just love that that wasn't even something that I necessarily directly parented and taught them. They watched it happen for me, and they wanted to experience that too.
That's amazing. And I'm so excited to have more future men be more self-aware of
Mhm.
how they can regulate themselves, because it's a great way to regulate, right? Like you are pausing life to come back to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
That's
have four
incredible.
boys in case you're
Yeah.
listening and you're like, what is she talking about?
Oh
That's what
yeah.
she's talking about.
Yeah, she's got 4 boys, okay, which are
Yeah.
going to be 4 future partners to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I am just so thrilled about that.
Yeah. I never thought about it from that perspective, but you're so right. I was just like, well, this is awesome that you're utilizing this tool, but you're right. Like it's going to make them better partners. It's going to make them way more self-aware, and it's just a really great tool to have in your
Yeah,
toolkit.
absolutely. And I feel like anything you can do to increase your level of awareness
Hmm.
and self mastery, self management is good for the entire world.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so you talked about how you set a very ambitious, or in my opinion, very ambitious
I know
goal
it was
to.
ambitious.
Because I'm like, man, I don't think I would have done that to myself because I just know myself. I'm working on becoming more disciplined with certain things, but like that is a scary goal. So for those of us who are like, I'm kind of new to this, I don't know that I can do that. Like, what can you share about how people can be or start, not even be, let's just start their discipline or commitment towards this new practice that they have?
Absolutely. So, the best way to become consistent at anything is to create a habit.
Mm-hmm.
And a habit is something you do effortlessly. It comes very naturally to you. It's part of your routine. It's like you don't even have to put the effort. You don't need to be motivated. Like you just do it. Like
It's like
you
brushing
brush
your
your teeth
teeth.
every day.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a habit. And the best way to get a habit to stick, any new habit, is to start small. And
Mm-hmm.
so, if you are someone who aspires to be like a 20-minute a day meditator, it's probably too big to start there. Like 20 minutes a day may not feel like a lot, but if you're going from 0 to 20, like that's a lot. So, maybe you start with 1 or 2 minutes a day, maybe 5 minutes a day, like whatever feels tiny enough for you. And something that I have that I'd love to gift your listeners too is I have a free habit accountability tracker. And what it does is it allows you the opportunity to really hone in on this new habit that you want to do. So if your new habit is to meditate, you download this free downloadable PDF, you print it out, old school, yes, print it out. You write, I have sections, write what that habit is. For 21 days, you are going to track your ability to do it, meaning you're going to check off for 21 days that you're getting it done. It's a real accountability thing. You're going to put this in a place in your home that's very visible. Maybe it's in your office, maybe it's on your fridge, on your mirror when you wake up, whatever it is. And you want to visually see that every single day. And you want to actually write down these things because you're way more likely to achieve a goal if it's written down. And then you're going to write how you're going to celebrate after the 21 days. And if you're wondering why 21 days, it's scientifically proven that it takes 21 days to form a habit, to get a habit to stick. And so this has been a tool that has worked wonders for myself, for clients. Habit tracker accountability tool. I would be happy to gift this to your listeners. And I think that is probably the best way, starting really small and having some sort of accountability tool like that. And then, yes, if you can find like your favorite voice with a guided meditation, your favorite YouTube channel, or if you have something you'd like to lean into, like I have a few that I like because some days I wake up and I need a boost in energy. Some days I need clarity. Some days I just want to like get rid of some blocks. Like it just really depends on what I'm feeling. But I have a few go-to places that I know to find them. I'm not wasting tons of time searching, trying out things. And I have tried ones that have worked and that haven't. But yeah, like honing in on those, 2 or 3 voices or channels or, places to find your meditations is a good way to set yourself up for success as well.
Yeah, and I think Spotify has some too, right? Like there are a lot of different places that you can go to search for guided meditations, thank goodness. And I would say most of them are free. So like you really have nothing to lose to try this. And Marissa, I really like your idea of starting small because
Yes.
if it's like really scary, like, hey, let's go skydiving. It's like, what? Right? Like that is scary. And we're not going to want to do that because we have everything in our body telling us no.
Right.
So, and it's going to be harder to incorporate. But if you come up with something small enough where you're like, I can do that, like anyone can like sit and breathe for 2 seconds, right? So if you're saying, 1 to 2 minutes, like, okay, everybody can find 1 to 2 minutes to try something new. So why not try meditation?
Right.
And it made me think of like, okay, well, I'm so busy, whatever, right? Okay, well, think about all the times that you spent time repairing situations because you
Mm-hmm.
lost it. Think about all the times where you felt guilty for how you reacted, right? So you do have time, and this is going to save you time and create energy in you when you do this, because this is like self care. This is an incredible way to practice self care. And for those of you who are familiar with, what is his name? James Clear. Is that who it is?
Is it
The,
Atomic Habits?
yeah.
Mm.
So, like habit stacking, which Marissa, you're like very familiar with, it's the idea of, stacking it with an existent habit. So we use toothbrushing as one of those things that we already have in place, I hope, right? So you could be like, okay, after I brush my teeth, I'm going to meditate for 2 minutes. So that could be an idea to start easily creating a new habit for yourself. What have you done to help yourself get back on the horse, like when you fall off?
Exactly that. Honestly, I've started small again. It's kind of like when you fall off the workout horse. You're
Yeah.
obviously not going to be where you were when you stopped because you worked hard to get up to that place, right? Like, so maybe you were lifting 20-pound dumbbells and now you got to go back to 10, if you've taken 3 months off or something like that. Same thing. If you were up to, doing 20 minutes of meditation a day, you might have to go back to doing 5 just to get back in the flow and the rhythm. The habit accountability tracker is a really good place to really hold myself accountable, like be disciplined in the practice, because it's like when you drop a habit, usually you're filling that with a different habit. And so it's kind of like you have to break this habit and reintroduce this one. So it's a process, but also being like understanding. I love to say there's a fine line between flexibility and accountability, and you got to find what that is for you. You know, just because you missed day 7 on the days of the 21 days doesn't mean you scrap and throw away the whole thing. You know, pick it back up the next day, keep going. You know, you got to give yourself grace when you need it, but you also have to be sort of like the law enforcement when you need that too.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely guilty of like that all or nothing. Like, oh well, I stopped. Now I feel like guilty or not ashamed. It's kind of extreme, but like, frustrated that I didn't keep my promise to myself. And then I just, like you said, fill it with something else. But what I'm hearing you say is offer yourself more compassion, right?
Yes.
Like life is going to happen, right? You chose what was best for you in that moment. And just because you missed a day or two doesn't mean that you're out of practice. Like you get to pick it right back up. It's always there for you. And what's great is that once you develop this new habit, you're going to experience the positive benefits and it's going to be easier because then you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. This is really good for me. That I love how I feel when I'm done. That I'm a different person when I keep this up. So like, let me be that person again. This is like the manual on how to be that person.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
It's your toolkit. It's your guidebook. You know, it's just another chapter in there of like another great resource of what to do.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, that is like everything that I think we can get the listeners to get started on maybe trying out meditation, right? Like there's so many kinds, all kinds of like instrumentals in the background. So don't be like, oh, I'm not into that kind of like monk style music. Like, don't be scared to try. Like if life isn't going the way you want it to go, what do you have to lose to try something different, right? Like,
right.
You could be a closet meditator for all we care. Like you don't have to tell your friends if you're going to be like, oh, they're going to call me whatever. Anyway, it doesn't matter because in the end, you got to do what's right for you and what's going to help you have a better experience of life and all the different roles that you play. Okay. So Marisa, thank you so much for joining us here again. And I'm sure I'm going to have you back again another time. Share with our listeners how to get started in meditation, the positive effects of it, and for sharing that habit tracker, which by the way, you can use for any habit.
Any habit.
Okay.
Habit. And I realize I have a podcast episode myself, which you might want to check out if this is fascinating to you, where I give you a little taste of a guided meditation and I talk about all the benefits, all the magic that this can bring into your life. So we will link that as well in the show notes. I'll send you that link.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. And for those of you who have worked with me, you know that I sometimes do guided meditations. I love facilitating it. And for those of you who have downloaded my recent masterclass, that has it in there as well, because it's really great for creating visions for your life, being able to visualize what's going on. So you can use meditation for so many different reasons, from relaxing to seeing the next phase of your life and how you want to move forward. Okay. So it has so many purposes and benefits, and we can't recommend it enough. If you have loved what you learned here, check out Marisa, chat with her. I'm sure she'd be happy to walk you through or give any recommendations that you need. And we'll catch you back on the next episode.
Yes.
Bye,
and Michelle,
everyone.
You have guided me through meditation.
I have guided you.
They have been powerful. So you are very good at it.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. I'll catch you back here on the next episode. Bye. That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please send me a message over on Instagram at Michelle Perta Coaching to let me know what you loved most about it. Hearing from my listeners is my absolute favorite. And if you've been loving this podcast, please leave a rating and review. This will help people like you find the show and get the help they need. Catch you here on the next episode. Bye.